Hey everyone, and welcome to Conquer the Mirror Demon. My name is Tanja Andersen, and I am your host. And today we have a beautiful, amazing speaker that is really dear to my heart. I have followed her for some times, and her name is Griselda Berg. Hey, my friend.
Hi, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here today. I'm really excited to have this conversation.
You're most welcome. You're also. Did I say your name correctly, my friend? This
Yes, very close. My name is Griselda Beck.
amazing. So why did I pick Griselda was because we have been friends for some times, and when she's posting, it's really like she's so connected to her feminine, like to her sexuality, to her. She's very intimate with herself, and I will feel see that as a big gifts and also so powerful as we as women we can learn so much as I'm learning from her to really like connect with what is my body, like how do I connect with my body, what is intimacy with my body, and what's all of that about, and also to be like a woman, like a proud woman, and show up like that. So who is she? So a little bit about who she is. She is an intimate coach. Is that correct, my friend?
Intimacy.
Intimacy coach, expert strategy, and 10x bestseller author, and a keynote speaker, and a proud Latina. WOC, what does that mean?
WOC is woman of color. So
Amazing.
embracing my beauty, embracing who I am, and embracing my heritage.
Definitely. Tell us a little bit more about like who are you, so the audience get a little bit sense about who is the beautiful lady they are looking at.
Yeah. So who I used to think I was a bad person with a terrible secret that I would hide from everybody. This awkward, overly sexual being that was just out of place everywhere. And it was a shameful thing. And who I can proudly tell you that I am today is a woman who embodies and embraces her body, her sexuality, my energy. I love the way that when I do speak my truth, when I do lean into authentically who I am, when I say a dirty joke, when I can see a woman or a man and I see past their pain and call that forward. And I catch when people say, oh, everything's fine in their marriage, in their relationship, or they're happy being single, but I can see the tears that they cry when no one else is around. That is power. Not because I am in control, but because who I be allows someone else to rest, to be able to tell their truth, to be able to be seen without shame, without judgment, but to be valued for the human being and the contribution that they are in this world. That is who I am.
Beautiful. Thank you. The topic we will talk about today is embodying your erotic truth. Can you please say the topic, my friend?
Oh, you said it perfectly. Erotic truth. Yes, you said it perfectly.
Okay. Oh my god. Words is a funny thing. So the first question I have for you is, what is the darkest thing you have faced in life? One of them.
I didn't think this was the case at the time, but when looking back, I think two things: shame and loneliness. And maybe they were tied into the same thing. So let's go with shame. Shame for being single for so long, because in my culture, women get married soon and their beauty calls in a partner, but my beauty called in things that harmed me. It I was told invited people to break and not honor my boundaries. I was told that I was too much. I was told that I was too sexy, that's why certain things had happened. I was raped when I was younger. And or that how I moved about invited negative attention. And none of that was true. Shame for feeling like I had to explain, why each relationship didn't work out. Shame for, I don't even know if it was shame, but I had an anger inside of me. I grew up in a very machismo culture where men are elevated and the women are here to serve them. Essentially, it's changing in Mexican culture, but traditionally that is how it is. And as it is in many cultures around the world. There was no like equality. And so I learned to play the man's game because I would not submit. And I think there was a little bit of even shame in that, right? Like not having to work hard to prove myself and to be in control, that kind of power, versus embracing the power that's already inside me and who I am. So, yeah.
Beautiful. You have shared a little bit around it. So that's around shame you felt in the past. Like, how did you turn it around to something that was powerful for you instead of something you were ashamed about?
Let's talk about what I thought was powerful first. Because these feelings come up and then we learn to cope, right? We learn
Yeah.
to have mechanisms of, on some level, of survival.
Yeah.
And so I learned to be very hard in my personality, very controlling, very, even to the point of emasculating, right? Like I needed them to be a little bit down so that I could be a little bit up and have the upper hand. So this is what I'm talking about, the false sense of power. It's not a false sense of power, but it's a power that comes from being in control versus now what I have learned is to be in power, but in power of surrender. Surrender in not in terms of submission to someone, because that's giving your power to someone. But surrendered being in, I know I'm powerful. I can be who I am. I don't need to match anyone's game. I don't need to put someone down so that I can feel up, right? I don't need to emasculate men. I don't need to shame them so that I can feel powerful as a woman. That's a different kind of game. And so I have learned to trust myself, to speak up, to listen for my erotic truth. And that is simply connecting to my body, listening to what my body is saying, connecting to that intuition, that sixth sense, and learning to speak and move about from that place.
Interesting. I'm curious to know a little bit around something I struggled with in the past was this with who I am as a woman, like the sixness, because in the past, I can see myself in some of the story you have been through was I really see in the past I limit myself to like to not put nails, like color on the nails, not putting like color lipsticks on, do pretty, because I gain more like attention, and the attention I receive was so out of my like really like not healthy whatsoever. So I limit that to not stop to put lipstick on, to not make me pretty, not color my hair, so I can fill in with the mess. How did you turn that around to really be a proud Latina woman, and be a proud woman, and be who you are in your sixness as a lady?
So a couple things. First and foremost, no one has been through something worse than you. Your pain, your story, your experience is 100% valid for you. So I tend to fall into that sometimes too, so I get to watch my language. But
Yeah.
just for anyone who's watching, I know that you know this, but for anyone that's watching, it's not about, oh, I've not gone through that person. Yes, you may not have walked through that person's steps. I don't know what it's like to be you. But even what you just shared right now tells me you've already experienced that cross of boundary, whether it was a penetrative cross or even a touch or even a look that was uncomfortable, or words that are spoken that were not invited. Right? Like,
yeah. Yeah, I've experienced a little bit. I've been drug
how we are.
raped.
Yeah.
I believe we have. I really believe we have experienced abuse on some level as women.
Yeah. And I feel like women of our own generation and even women of previous generations, like my mom, right? The way that they protected themselves was to dim their light. Me too. I would not have been caught dead wearing red lipstick or even color on my nails. It was always like a natural pink, or
Yeah,
like maybe the French manicure, but nothing that was too loud, right? Nothing that was, when I walk in the room, like, whoa. Um, for the
exactly.
same reason, I didn't want that look. You know, that look that can feel creepy and invasive. It feels invasive.
Yeah,
They look at you a
100%.
certain way and they're penetrating you with their eyes. Um, which, by the way, I'm not a man hater. I also work with men, and I also have a big heart for men. And they have their own wounding that has led them to do that, to
Exactly.
feel like they need to do that because that's the only way that they can be seen. It's really simple. Knowing that I can show up like this, and if I get that look, I can redirect it. I can move myself. I can ask them to stop. I can use my voice in that way. Not to shame them, not to make them feel bad. I can set a boundary. I can say, that is not okay for me. You will respect me. And this, they may not even know what respect looks like. So honestly, as much as my boyfriend and I travel very often, and he always, once I start a conversation with someone, he's like, oh, here we go. He says, let's start coaching everybody. To him, it feels that way because he lives with me. But for me, it's an opportunity. Like, what happened in that person's life that they felt that they needed to do that? I mean, I ask the question that way, but I get curious. Instead of saying, like, hey, don't look at me like that, or you're a sicko, or you're a freak, it's like, wow, I see that you're admiring my beauty. Love to hear your words. What happened in your life? What's been your relationship experience? And if you ask it with love, right, without judgment, because the initial is judgment and defense.
Yeah.
But if you can ask it with love and really find out what happened, a lot of them have been really hurt, especially by women. And it didn't necessarily start in relationship. A lot of them have a mother wound, either an
Yeah.
absent mother, a controlling mother, a mother who didn't nurture them. And they were taught to be tough, to not feel, to be manly, like manly. And this is what they were taught was meant to be a man. To look at women, to call them out on the street. But there's another way. And when they experience the way my boyfriend and I now move, because guess what? My boyfriend was one of those people. I got curious and he leaned in, and now we're in a relationship. But it wasn't always that way, right? And so there's so much opportunity for us to create healing when we heal ourselves first. And then we can heal and inspire others to do the same.
It's so beautiful. Like it's everything started with me before I really create a deeper awareness about how do I communicate, because what you also said, like in the past, I was like fighting everyone if I receive like words that make me uncomfortable. Compared to now, it's just like, thank you for giving me your time. Thank you for choosing to post, and really think about like how do I communicate, because what I communicate, what I see, it will affect my brain. So no matter if I choose to judge or choose to be angry as I did in the past, it will affect me. So I will get more judgmental, I will get more angry, because what I like speak out to someone, my ears is listening, what I'm seeing, my eyes is taking in the head, and my focus will be on that instead of, sometimes it's uncomfortable for me because it is just, is my mind like really like over my limit, and I say thank you and wish you a good day, or I say that is not okay, like, or ask my question. Most of the time when I ask questions, there's like cricket. There's no like, there's no response back.
They don't
It's
know
so so interesting.
They got uncomfortable.
Yeah, I'm just like, maybe in one time out of 10 I get it back. It's just like so interesting when I ask a open question. There's no like response. Oh, so interesting. Oh,
Yeah, there's so much wrapped around that. I mean, even women have also been conditioned. I mean, we're part
yeah.
of it, right?
Oh my, yeah,
To feel admired, to feel validated when we get
yeah.
those cat calls, and then so
I was there in
some
the
women,
past.
not
Yeah,
all,
yeah.
some might then invite that kind of thing or feel less than when they don't get it, right? So like that's the external validation. They may not even like how it feels, but at least they know that they're cute, that they're still pretty, that they still got it, right?
Yeah.
Another thing is like when you are a very sexual being like me, and I toned it down for many years in front of certain arenas, uh was that whole idea of I didn't want to invite it in. And here's the thing, it just happened this past weekend. The guy was flirting with me pretty heavy. My boyfriend was engaged in another conversation, so he didn't notice, and I caught myself very upset after. And he's like, why didn't you say something? I'm like, yeah, why didn't I say something? I was waiting for him as my boyfriend to set the limit. And I'm like, no, I get to set the limit. And if I feel like my boyfriend is not, if I have an expectation that he's going to guard me or something,
Yeah.
I get to ask for that. I get to ask. And I got to ask him in the future, please, when we're in that situation, stand by me, check in with me, if I feel uncomfortable. And I get to also step away or ask you to go to the bathroom and say, like, we got to go, something, so yeah, thank you for bringing that up. And I think it works all ways, right? Like we have a responsibility for our own validation, for our own love, for our own admiration and connection. We also have a responsibility to speak up for what we want and what we don't want, setting those boundaries, and be a stand for others to be in responsibility, right? Not take their responsibility by expecting that they are going to do something, holding them to that responsibility.
Yeah, so powerful. What is the three biggest thing that really help you to embrace shame and turn that on to self-love? Like, what was the three things that really serve you to be who you are today?
One thing, actually, it was acceptance, self-acceptance. The other thing for me to get to self-acceptance, I got to get really clear on my authenticity. Who am I? Because when I was growing up, I was one way when I was born. Very loud, took up space, unapologetic. I ran everything. For those that have been in leadership, I was a promoting controller.
Oh my God, just like me.
As a tiny being, right? Like 3-year-old, 2-year-old, 5-year-old. But as that progressed and as I got in trouble or I received the messages that that's too much, that that's not okay, that invites the bad attention, that way of being leads me to a path that is not going to be successful. I learned to adjust, right? And I became a people pleaser. I became a rule follower. I became doing things the way it was supposed to do. But here's how you know that that's not really who you are. Every now and then I felt like I just wanted to let my hair down and just be somewhere else and just have permission for like a night or a couple hours to just be myself, to just relax, to be off, feeling of being on all the time, like to just be off, to drink and because drinking actually, what it does is it lowers that thought process, the analyzer that's keeping you like this, and it just gives you permission to be. If you don't drink too much, right, then
Yeah,
you
exactly.
go somewhere else. Someone
Exactly.
else takes over. But if you just, relax a little bit, I have learned to relax a little bit without needing that drink, right? By knowing who I am. And it took 8 years, but not because it takes 8 years, because I wasn't asking the right questions.
Exactly.
Right. And I was asking for feedback all the time. I actually didn't really feedback. I wanted careful feedback. But when I started asking for direct and honest feedback, what people loved about me was the thing that I did. What people today, the reason that people hire me, I always ask at the end of every session, intake session, if it's one-on-one or at the end of a group, I always ask them, what made you say yes to this? And it's funny, they already knew they were looking for what I do. So, but now there's, 20 coaches that they know of, right? That they've been following. There's a million coaches in the world,
Yeah.
but that they've been following maybe like 20. And I ask, what made you choose me? And it's always something where I express something about my own sexuality or my own journey in connecting to my sensuality. That said, that's me. And I want to learn from her. So when I started asking for the direct feedback, that's what people loved. When I would unapologetically speak or say the things that I'm doing or the things that I'm feeling or my desires out loud. When I said I want to stand for a world that has extraordinary orgasms, I was in a room with 170 people. And I never said something like that out loud to more than one person at a time. But saying it out loud, like I've got the power and owning it, like everyone gets to experience what this is like. And it's not just a sexual thing.
No, it's not.
I want you to like savor life. I want you to savor each connection that you're having. I want you to be able to sit in watching water. I love watching bodies of water, lakes, rivers, oceans, and just feel connected, lit up from the inside out. And I always explain to people like an analogy so they can get it. You know those days when you wake up and you're just having a great freaking day? And it just seems like everyone's nice that day. The doors get open for you. You get the free coffee for no apparent reason. Someone, I was one day, I had just come from the gym, like gross, like sweaty, hair up in a bun. And I was pumping gas and somebody gave me like the most beautiful compliment. And it wasn't that creepy kind that we don't like. It was like, wow, you're really beautiful. And I'm like, thank you. I respect. It's that kind of day, but all the time or whenever you choose it. That is being embodied in your sensuality, in your feminine experience, energy. It's also the balance and mastering the masculine energy with it, because we all have a divine feminine and a divine masculine. We also all have a wounded feminine and a wounded masculine.
Definitely,
That
100%.
makes us act a certain kind of way. That's beautiful. That is orgasmic. And I stand for an orgasmic life. Everyone gets to have it in the bedroom and outside of the bedroom.
Amen. Oh my God, just love that. And it's very interesting in my days and now it's just like I get more open for like you can create the relationship you choose to create, and that is in your hands to create it instead of like you are in relationship or you're single. There's so many ways how to be in abundance, how to experience your sexuality, how to experience connecting. And it's what I'm experiencing in my days in this year is it is so much more than like six get to be something that is embodied and joyful, something that is really spirituality and connected. And on that level is very new for me. It's not sex, it's just two souls that is really connecting on so many levels, like on like what you call the time is going, like the time is stopping, like that moment.
Yes.
It is so beautiful.
Yep. It really is. You know, there's nothing wrong with sex. Sex is beautiful. Sex is
Of course.
spiritual. It can be fun, you know, without needing to be serious. It can be serious, connected experience. It can be a source of passion, adventure. It can be anything that you desire it to be. It can
Exactly.
also dim your light. It can leave you feeling empty. It
Oh my God.
can
Yeah.
feel like a burden. It can feel like a chore, like you have to.
Yeah. Oh my
Um,
God.
it can be any of those things as well. It can be self-harming, a way to self-harm. Some people cut, some people drink too much, some people do too much drugs, some people can do too much sex, right? That was my drug, sex, before. So you can use it for good, you can use it for bad, you can cause harm,
Exactly.
you can cause healing.
It's so
Sex is neutral.
interesting.
But you know, it's really, it's about coming from a healed, whole place and choosing according to what you truly desire, your erotic truth. What does your body really need in this moment? Even though I'm in a connected relationship, in a committed relationship, sometimes what I need is sensual touch. I just need his fingers, like,
Mm.
or even my fingers. It can be mine, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Lightly, you know, going on my skin, like I'm getting goosebumps right now. Sometimes that's what I crave. Sometimes it's an energy of just hold this space with me. Sometimes I want to be turned around, my hair grabbed, my ass slapped, and ramped really hard from the back because that's the playful, naughty energy that I'm in. It can be whatever you desire it to be, but we get to choose. And we get to choose from a place that's authentic, honest, and real. Because what I thought was powerful, what I thought was me choosing, when that rape happened, I went back a week later and I had sex with him again on my terms. And I never understood, like, how can something be bad when I went back and chose it? And I had a therapist really break down the moment of the rape, how it happened, the moment of disconnection. I disconnected from my body and soul in that moment because I remember the incident differently. At one point I'm here, and the next point I'm like watching it happen. So there was a separation of body and spirit. And when I went back, it was a way. She said, "Did you enjoy it?" I was like, "No." What I enjoyed was, it's like I fucked him right back, right? Sorry. So I don't know if that's okay in your show. She said that was your way of regaining control. And now look at your life and your patterns when you were
Mm.
running the company, right? With big executives making world level decisions. It was the same energy in which you led that company. It's the same
Interesting.
energy in which I I I showed up in my relationships. That's why I was so emasculating, so strong, so independent, right? It's why in some point of my life I didn't want a relationship and I was just promiscuous.
Mm.
And I don't actually like that word because that word invites shame. But I was having sex with multiple partners, my way, my terms, my choice. But it was a controlling energy. It was not a loving. Um, so yeah, so that's why now I stand for women to choose from a place of love, and men to choose from a place of love. Doesn't matter what you choose. It can be naughty, kinky, different than what anyone else would do. As you said, I got to get true about what kind of relationship I wanted, what I wanted in that relationship to experience. And it wasn't 2.5 kids with a white picket fence. It was not the standard relationship.
Mm.
But I have a partner with whom I laugh every day. We have amazing sex life. Sometimes it includes other people. And it's just it's amazing. It's amazing. My life is amazing. He's a very generous person, a very loving person. But he also got to feel safe to be his authentic self, right? And we created that together. But it was me standing for me and my desires that invited him in to want to do the work for himself. But he got to do the work. I couldn't do it. Couldn't get him to do anything. Anytime I catch myself wanting to get him to do something, it doesn't work.
Nope.
But I can be who I be and express what I want and invite him into that if he chooses. And then he'll choose. And that's why we're still here. Every day it's a choice.
Exactly. So powerful. Thank you for sharing. I know you have a free gift to the people that is watching. Can you please share a little bit around this, like Unleash Yourself 6-week event?
Yeah. So last year I held a 6-week event, and I took them each week through one of the steps to create this embodiment, this sensuality, to connect to their sensuality. So the way it worked is week 1 is all about leadership and mindset. We work with the mind and the subconscious mind. So limiting beliefs and all that, to get down to your erotic truth. Week 2 is all about energetics. We go into a little bit of human design, a little bit of quantum energetics, and different types of modalities to connect to your energy and to allow energetic healing. Week 3, we go through mastering the feminine and masculine within you and embracing it. Week 4 is all about embracing your sensuality. Week 5 is about exploring your sexuality, kink and beyond. And then week 6 is all about trust, money, your relationship to self. It's a very beautiful conversation. So I am gifting you each one of those 6 weeks to go through and learn a little bit about each thing so that you can see what resonates with you. What part of this puzzle is a part of you? And that's my invitation to you.
So powerful. And the last words you would like the audience to go with, if there is one thing you would like the viewers, the people that are seeing this interview, to go with, what will that be?
I would invite you to practice presence. And you can do that by asking yourself a couple questions. One is, what's true for me right now? What is true right now in this moment? So our minds can make up a lot of things. When you're feeling the discomfort, we talked about these, the dark emotions.
Yeah.
Ask yourself, what would make me feel better right now? And then gift yourself. If it's crying, if you got that lump in your throat and you're holding it, like, cry, scream, go hit something, not a person.
Take a newsletter,
you know,
as I do sometimes, and smash it.
Yeah. If it's a hug, it's being courageous, right? It's vulnerable to ask for a hug. If it's whatever it is, ask yourself, what would make me feel better, right? Think of like a 5-year-old tantrum and like, what do they need? Right? So ask yourself, what do I need right now? That's it. Start with that.
Powerful. Thank you so much, my friend Grasilda. I really hope I say it correctly.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
It was so beautiful and also very healing for me. And I will share that in a text to people that's watching this, like, what is the nugget I get out of this? Because this interview, what you're sharing with your voice, your learning, your wisdom, it's really served me in this moment. So thank you so much. And I will also know it will serve so many that are seeing this interview together with you. So thank you for bottom of my heart, for who you are, for what you stand for, being a proud Latina with color, if I say that correctly. And thank you for showing up as you're doing. It's really inspired me to also embrace my womanhood and my sexiness and be intimate with me and find the path that is right for me. Thank you so much for being who you are and being here. It was amazing and big blessing.
It has been my divine pleasure. Thank you.
And to you, dear people that are seeing this, go back to your newsletter. There's all the information you need about Gracila's work, information about her, all her social media, also her free gifts. So everything you need is in that newsletter where you click on this link. See you, and thank you so much for your time. Cannot wait to see you next time. Bye on.
Bye.